Hi, my name is Mia. Welcome to Scrubs and Savings. I'm a 22-year-old new grad nurse documenting how I'm living intentionally, spending joyfully, and giving generously. And today we're going to be doing my 2026 life reset, where we're going to reflect on my 2025 goals and intentions and look ahead to 2026. Now, if you don't already know me, 2025 was a very big year. Not only did I graduate from college, I studied for and passed my nursing license boards, and I started working full-time as a registered nurse. And with that being said, I set my words of the year to be grace and growth. Now, of course, with all of that change, there was going to be a lot of growth happening during the year, but I also wanted to give myself grace, not only at work, but also in my personal life. I knew that there might be times where I don't go to the gym as much or not get as much sleep and not keep up with my friends as much as I would like to, which is completely fine. I knew there was going to be a lot of adjusting to working full-time and eventually working full-time on nights, which has been a very big change, but I definitely feel like I embodied these words during the year. Then, as for my annual goals, I had several categories, the first one being self-growth. My priority was to make sure that I got high quality sleep, or at least 8 hours of sleep every night, which I think I've done a pretty good job at. There was a time where I was meticulously tracking all of the hours of sleep that I got, but then I kind of didn't get back into tracking until recently. But I know that with all of the change, I have been prioritizing rest, especially now that I'm working nights. I work 3 days a week from 7 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., and it's difficult to always get 8 hours of sleep, especially if I want to flick back to a kind of day schedule. There are going to be times where I have to only sleep 5 to 6 hours so I can be back to existing during the daytime on my days off. But I try to balance that out with sleeping a lot before I get back onto my work schedule. So I'm not going to check this off just because I haven't been tracking, but I know that I've done the best that I can with my sleep, especially for the past few months. Then I also wanted to plan every month. I know that in 2024, I wasn't my type A, staying completely put together and planning ahead self that I normally am, and it kind of gave me anxiety towards the end of the year, and I really wanted to get back into that. And I would say I was, again, pretty good at the beginning of the year because I was still in that going to school and studying mode where I really had to be structured to get the stuff that I wanted to get done. But now that I'm working full time, it's kind of been weird figuring out how I want to structure my days and time, especially with my schedule being very variable. I work every other weekend, I work holidays, I work during the night, so it's kind of been hard to figure out a structure that I want to exist in my days off. I think I'm getting to that point, but it's definitely been something I've been working on. So I did check this off in the middle of the year, which I would give myself credit for, but again, I kind of slipped back into not planning out every day, which has been fine, but I would like to get back into that again. Then, if you are familiar with my personal finance videos, you're probably very familiar with my financial goals, so we're going to skip over these quickly. So for my finances, I wanted to max out my Roth IRA, which I did in February. I used my 529 plan to roll over enough money to my Roth IRA to max it out. Then I wanted to reach $3,000 in my apartment fund, which I did this month. Then I wanted to reach $7,500 in my emergency fund, which I completed in May, but I wanted to continue funding it so then I would have $12,000 or a fully funded emergency fund by the time I moved out in April, but I actually fully funded that fund in November. So now I have $12,000 saved up in an emergency fund. So at the beginning of next year, I can really focus on saving up money to move out, but also investing as much as possible while still living at home. Then I also wanted to reach a $100,000 net worth. And if you watched my 2025 financial goals video, I really did think that this was a stretch goal for me, which it was, but I actually achieved that in September with honestly a lot of financial help from my friends and family from all of the graduation gifts I received, and I definitely put that money to good use, and I don't think I would have achieved this goal without those gifts. Then I wanted to do a low spend month every quarter, but then, which I did in January, but I just didn't feel like that was benefiting me at all. I actually struggle a little bit with spending my money on myself, so I didn't really see the point in having a low spend month when I naturally just want to save my money. And lastly, I added this goal in the middle of the year, but I wanted to pay off my car loan, which I was able to do in July. Then for my career goals, I also achieved all of those. Now, sometimes in my head, I don't really celebrate some of these things, even though they are all such a big deal, because it kind of just seems like the natural progression of all of the work that I've done, but it is something to still be celebrated. So like I said before, I graduated nursing school, studied for the NCLEX, became a registered nurse. Then I didn't end up negotiating my benefits just because I was very content with my compensation. However, that is definitely something that I want to keep in mind doing going forward. And lastly, I have been working as a registered nurse. Then for my friends and family, I wanted to spend quality time with my family once a month and spend time with my friends twice a month, which I have been keeping up with, even though it has been more difficult recently to spend time with my friends. But I'm still making sure that I'm at least reaching out and trying to make friend time work in the middle of my work week. And it also makes it difficult that all of my friends are nurses and none of us have like Monday to Friday schedules, and we all work different weekends, so it's kind of just hard to get everyone together. But something that I want to do next year is definitely get closer and strengthen my friendships, especially with some of my coworkers that I kind of have friend crushes on, and I know that they're going to be a great resource for me during all of the change at work. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Then for health and fitness, this is kind of where we fell off a little bit. I wanted to weight train 3 times a week, which I was very good at in the first half of the year. But recently, again, I don't want to make excuses for myself, but it has been hard to go to the gym. I don't think I've really discussed this because I haven't been doing these life resets every month, but something that I do to make sure that I get rest is not do anything on my first day off. So what I do is go to sleep from 8:30 to 2:30, and then I don't let myself do anything. So I don't go to the gym on my first days off. I'll sometimes go to yoga, but it just depends on the day. So there are some weeks where sometimes I can only go to the gym twice, but even then I'm still showing up to strengthen my body. while also making sure that I get enough sleep. So something that I tried and have been sticking with recently is actually doing full body training during all of my workouts instead of having a specific program for each muscle group. So if I only go to the gym twice, I know that I'm still hitting every muscle group. And I think that instead of making more frequency goals, I want to focus on how I want to feel while I'm weight training, which, of course, that's all of the things that I want to change are going to be reflected in my 2026 goals. Then I wanted to go to yoga once or twice a week, which I was doing while I was still in school and have been doing a lot recently, but there was a little bit of time in between studying and working full time where I wasn't going to yoga as often just because I did not have free yoga anymore. But I think I bought my class pack in August and I have been able to go every week, barring the weeks where I have something planned on the days that I like going to yoga. It's kind of weird because there's only one instructor that I really like at the studio that I go to. So if I'm not able to go to that class, I don't really want to go to another class. But I do know that I can do at home yoga, which would help with my consistency. Then I wanted to learn how to meal prep for night shift life, which I have not done and it just hasn't been a priority to me, which is perfectly fine. Then I wanted to create a night shift sleep routine, which I did. I'm very happy with my sleep routine. I feel like I do get enough rest, even though it's sometimes imbalanced throughout the week. But overall, I'm averaging 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep per week, per day, per week. So that is definitely something that I'm happy with and I want to stick with in the new year. And lastly, I wanted to consume more protein. And something that I've realized about myself is that I don't really care for protein supplements. I tried the shakes thing. It just didn't work out for me just because I don't like the taste and I don't like making the shakes. I tried out protein bars, but then when I have anything too much, I kind of get sick of them. So I just did not stick with this goal this year, which is okay. Then for my relationship, I wanted to go on a date once per month, which I have been. And lastly, for hobbies and fun, my only goal was to post on YouTube 4 times per month, which I was able to do for 10 out of the 12 months. The only months that I haven't been able to do 4 videos per month was in November and December. I don't really know what happened in November, but in December, I did break my laptop and I didn't have it for 10 days. So, of course, I wasn't able to film anything, but I definitely want to get back into filming videos next year. If you can't tell, I have been dealing with a little bit of a cold, so that's why my voice sounds like that right now. And then my intentions for the year was to learn how to be a great nurse, which I definitely feel like I have been getting more confident and competent at my job, which is really satisfying. Of course, there's a lot to learn, but I'm content with where a lot of my skills and everything to do with nursing are at right now. Then I wanted to try longer hikes, which I definitely did. My boyfriend Nick and I went to the Smoky Mountains in May, and we did that 11-mile long hike. And then I think the other hike we went on was like 5 miles, which is still longer than most hikes that I've gone on, so I'm very content with that. Then I wanted to have joy this year, which I have been. I wanted to start meal prepping for work, which I have not been doing, like I said before, it just wasn't a priority. I wanted to continue having hobbies, and I've definitely done that. Now that I'm kind of in more of a night schedule, on my days off, I'll still go to bed at 2 or 3 a.m. and wake up at 10 or 11. So when everyone else is asleep, I'm focusing on my hobbies like scrapbooking or journaling or editing these YouTube videos. So that's definitely something that I've gotten back into this year. And lastly, I wanted to stop gossiping, which I don't know if I've completely stopped this. It's kind of been hard being in a new social setting at work, but I don't think that I've been talking about other people as much, so that's good. And then if we take a look at my vision board, I definitely feel like I have achieved most of these things except for this meal prepping and cooking section, but I'm very happy that my year has, for the most part, looked like this vision board. And something that I wanted to try out, or I guess just get back into, is paper planning. This is the Doodle planner by Amanda Lee, and it kind of gives a mixture of bullet journaling and just a regular planner. I used to be very into stationery back in middle school and high school. I tried out bullet journaling for a while, but I think I was just too much of a perfectionist with making spreads, so I didn't stick with it. But I think having a mixture of like already pre-planned spreads but also making my own has been really fun, and I've just been working on it over the past month. But I did make a little year in review spread with things that I didn't go over in my Notion spread. So I wrote down what I'm proud of, and I'm proud of graduating college, the 11-mile hike in the Smoky Mountains, passing the NCLEX, successfully transitioning to nursing and night shift, maintaining my hobbies, ensuring monthly friend time, planning Nick and I's future together, giving myself grace and asking for help, which is another thing that I really struggle with, growing my nursing skills, and achieving my financial goals. And then where I can grow is my nutrition, which has never really been a big focus to me, but that is definitely something that I want to work on in the new year. I feel pretty good about my sleep routine and how I'm exercising, but I think that's a component of my health that I've really been neglecting my entire life. And then I also want to be more intentional with my time and energy. That's kind of where this planning thing comes in. I I know, even though I'm more of a flexible, go with the flow person now, I still want to plan out my days and know how I want to balance everything out, especially once I move out, because of course I'm going to have way more responsibility taking care of myself, which I think may almost force me to be more intentional with my time, which is a good thing. And then I also want to work on my patience, attitude, and mindfulness at work, which I will not go into, but that is definitely something that I want to keep in mind. Then my favorite memories have been my pinning ceremony and graduation ceremonies, going to the Smoky Mountains, going to a lot of baseball games, going to a family friend's wedding, passing the NCLEX, going up north with my boyfriend's family, the Tyler the Creator concert, my birthday dinner, and watching Hamilton, Cage the Elephant, and the Book of Mormon this year. And then for 2026, I'm actually going to use a version of Jenna Hong's Notion template. So I kind of changed it up for my needs, but let's go into the yearly goals tab. So I have basically the same categories from last year, so we'll go one by one. So for my personal goals, I want to stay hydrated. I tend to be someone who forgets to drink water, so something that I've been doing recently has been really keeping an eye on my water intake. I have the habit tracker app. I have a habit tracker app where I track how much I drink per day, and I noticed that if I'm not tracking it, I can go an entire day with only drinking 2 glasses of water. So I definitely think what isn't measured isn't managed. So I think I'm getting about at least 60 ounces per day, which is significantly better than it used to be. So I kind of just want to keep that up. Then I want to practice sleep hygiene. So this is less about how many hours I want to get per night because, like I was saying before, I'm not always able to get 8 hours of sleep, but I want to do the things that help me get to that point. And I established a very good night routine that basically knocks me out, and I know I'll have good sleep if I do all of those things. So I want to make sure that I'm doing that every night. Then I wanted to set up a meal plan. This is more for once I move out of my parents' house, but I definitely know it's going to be a huge adjustment taking care of grocery shopping and meal planning and cooking. So I want to, like I was saying before, I want to focus on my nutrition. And if we need to purchase meal kits and convenience foods like frozen vegetables and frozen fruits to get more nutritious foods in my body, that's just how it needs to be, even if it's more expensive to buy those convenience foods. Then, lastly, for my personal goals, I want to move out and make a home. Now, of course, moving out will be a huge thing this year and something that I want to pour my time and energy in is really making a home for myself. I have lived with my parents my entire life, and I haven't really been able to decorate how I want to. The way that my room is currently set up is from my high school self, and I just haven't felt like spending the money to redo this room. So moving out will kind of just be a fresh new slate of a home, and I want to make my environment more of a reflection of not only who I am now, but also how I want to decorate for myself and my boyfriend who I will be moving out with. Then for my financial goals, I want to make $95,000 of gross income. So with my current pay on top of my $10,000 sign-on bonus, I should be able to make about $90,000 from my full-time job alone. But then where that extra $5,000 comes in is making $5,000 of extra income. That may come from my contingent nursing job or from YouTube or from sign-on bonuses, from referral links. So that is definitely something that I want to put out into the universe for next year. Then I want to max out my 403b, and the limit for that next year is $24,500, which I think I will be able to do. Then something that follows that is investing 30% of my gross income, which would be about $28,500 if we go with this $95,000 gross income goal. Now, if you're wondering why maxing out my Roth IRA isn't part of these financial goals, it's because since I am not contributing to it from my gross income, I don't really want to count that as part of my investment percentage. I just want to consider it like almost like a bonus on top of the money that I'm already able to invest with my income that's coming in throughout the year. Then lastly, I want $150,000 invested. This is probably a stretch goal for me. I currently have about $70,000 invested. So if I invest $28,500 on top of the $7,500 for the Roth IRA, that's about $36,000 on top of the $70,000 I currently have. So this goal definitely depends on how well the market does throughout next year, but I might as well, again, put it out there in the universe. And with that manifestation of $150,000, another stretch goal would be to reach a $200,000 net worth. Again, that definitely depends on how well the market does next year. But I also didn't think that I would achieve my $100,000 net worth goal this year. So again, I'll just put it out into the universe, and if I don't reach it, I'm sure that I will be happy with whatever growth has happened throughout the next year. Then for my career, again, this kind of follows a natural progression of where my training has led me, but I want to get labor trained. I also want to take an intermediate fetal heart monitoring course, and then something that is more in my control is reflecting after every shift. I've been doing this a lot more recently, and it kind of helps me process what happens throughout every night, and it helps me not only work through where I had some difficulty throughout the night, but also celebrate where things did go right. Then for my relationships, I want to have not only monthly dates, but I also want date nights at new restaurants and to try new activities with Nick. Since we've been living at home, we've basically been to all the same restaurants and have done all of the activities in our immediate vicinity. So I definitely want to put us out there, especially once we move out, to try new things and enjoy our new environment. And like I was saying before with my friendships, I definitely want to strengthen the ones that I currently have, make new ones, and just pour into those relationships on top of my boyfriend and our families. And lastly, I want to start hosting more, and I definitely think that living in my own space will help me to do that. And I still want to do this even if I don't think our living space is quote unquote complete. I think that where we live will always be a work in progress, and I don't want to force myself to decorate it quickly just so that I can feel like it's ready for other people to come over. If people are judging the way that my space looks when it's not fully decorated, I don't think I'd want them to be my friend anyway. Then for health and fitness, for weightlifting, I just want to start lifting heavier. I've kind of just been in a maintenance mode with weightlifting recently, but the whole point of it is to get stronger and feel more empowered, and I have to lift heavy to be able to feel those things, which I've already been working on in December. I've just been adding a little bit more weight to most exercises, and it definitely does make me feel the way that I want to feel when I'm weightlifting. Then for yoga, I just want to continue practicing it. Now I know it's going to be weird moving and having to find a new studio and new instructors. So, and for me to stay consistent with yoga, I really do have to find an instructor and a studio that I really connect with and that will make me go consistently. And lastly, for health and fitness, I want to start trying different types of workout classes. For example, I tried out a reformer Pilates class last month and I really enjoyed it. So I kind of want to start sprinkling some more fun exercise classes on top of my weightlifting and yoga routine. And then for hobbies and fun, for YouTube, I just want to post 52 YouTube videos or about once per week. I know that there will be some weeks where I can't post videos, but I just kind of want to keep this hobby more fun instead of focusing on the growth on my channel. Then I want to work on my 4 and 5 year anniversary scrapbooks. I kind of fell behind the scrapbooking with our 3 year anniversary scrapbook, but I want to catch myself up before our 5-year anniversary next October, but I also want to make sure that I'm still having fun with it. And of course, I really want to enjoy our trips that are coming up in the new year, which are to New Orleans and France. Overall, I'm just really excited for the new year. All of the goals that I came up with feel more like they're about nourishing my life and getting closer to the life that I want to live rather than just being boxes to check off throughout the year. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.